Assassination of John F. Kennedy shocked, horrified, and shattered a nation. Sarah Peterson and K.W. Zachary are authors of The Lone Star Speaks: Untold Texas Stories about the JFK assassination. The book provides new insights and uses actual witness testimony to raise even more questions about what many have called the crime of the century.
Sarah Peterson and K.W. Zachary join us this morning. Thank you both for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
So I think all these years later, people think, is there really anything new to be learned? And you ladies both independently had an interest in this subject, and you happened to work together through the college you work for?
Well, we worked together at the college, but our interest started way before that. Katana, when she was a young girl, and my fascination started when I studied in Washington, D.C. for a spring semester, and then I worked for Congressman David Dreyer from California, and my senior thesis was on the Kennedy assassination.
So a previously unknown witness that you talked to worked for the U.S. Marshal's office in Dallas.
Yes.
What did he see, and why wasn't his testimony taken back then?
Well, to the day he died, which was recently, he asked the very same question as far as why did they not listen to him and U.S. Marshal Robert Nash. I'm not sure either one of them ever knew, except that what Goods told us, and we think that's a pseudonym, but he used it till the day he died with us. He said they had found what they wanted to find, and they didn't want to find any information that would contradict it. Even though this was the middle of the afternoon on November 22nd. He said already we could tell they only wanted to find certain pieces of information.
So what was it that he said? There was more than one shooter? He definitely knew that?
Well, he saw a gunman, a rifle sticking out of the window of what was called the Dallas Records building, which is where the sheriff's department was. And it was on the very top floor, not the top of the building, but the top floor. And he saw a puff of smoke. And that he did not see anyone from the Texas School Book Depository. Plus, they
also found evidence of a shooter on the South Knoll, which would be set up perfect for a crossfire.
And so what was the Warren Commission's statement about the idea of a second shooter? I mean, that isn't, something that's new recently.
Well, the Warren Commission was given a preconceived idea of what to look for. They were not to look for a number of assassins. They were to prove through the evidence that the FBI gave them, and only evidence that the FBI gave them was that there was a lone shooter. His name was Lee Harvey Oswald, and he fired the shot from the Texas School Book Depository. And all the evidence that was given to them led them that way. And one of the reasons we know that is we met with the Texas Assistant Attorney General to Wagner Carr, and his job was to help interview the witnesses for the Warren Commission. And when he did so, and 3 months later, he reported back to Wagner Carr that it was the biggest whitewashed ever, that Johnson was running everything, and that there was already a predetermined idea of that it was Oswald, and that they didn't look into any other assassins.
So after all your research, what do you think happened?
We think that there was a group of people who planned this, another group of people who executed it, and still another group who helped conceal it. And the term they continue to use in the government, the military, and just about everywhere else you can think of is plausible deniability, because they did not want the various groups to know each other. That way they could honestly say, I don't know a thing about how this was covered up.
Are you implying Johnson as the person behind all this? Who has something to gain from this?
We're quoting Wagner Carr's Assistant Attorney General, who came back as a firsthand witness saying Johnson was running everything when it came to the investigation.
So these groups that you talk
That does
about,
not mean
where do
that
you think these groups are? What are these groups?
It could be, well, apparently it's a combination of groups. People have said something about could the mafia and the CIA be involved? And several people in the mafia had laughed and said, well, yes, we're two sides of the same coin. And someone else said, well, could the military and the mafia both be involved? And someone else answered, said, don't you think the mafia gets drafted into the military? They're all combined
But
from time.
in order to pull this off, wouldn't you agree that that's a lot of people who have to keep their mouth shut to the very end, and the likelihood of that is typically, as we've seen throughout history, not very good?
But if there's plausible deniability, and even on the team that planned it, if you only know your small part of what you're supposed to do and you do not know who else is in the planning stage, you can keep it pretty quiet that way. Plus, the CIA and the mafia and military intelligence, they work together, and the code of not speaking or your family will be taken out probably was a good way to make sure people kept their word and didn't speak.
Well,
And after all these years, some of the witnesses that came forward to us, we asked them, why after all these years? And they said, because our oral history needs to be told, and I'm going to die soon anyway. And my family, I don't need to protect them anymore. So I need to tell what really happened.
well, the book is called The Lone Star Speaks: Untold Texas Stories about the JFK Assassination. Ladies, thank you both so much for being with us.
Thank